Hey, Sagittarius. Mel, intuitive coach here, excited to bring in your November 2025 love reading. Now, this session is devoted entirely to self-love and inner work. We are going to create a space to help you reconnect with your heart, to honor your growth and how far you've come on your journey, as well as nurture the relationship you have with yourself. No matter what season of life you find yourself in, Sag, whether you are in the midst of healing, rebuilding, expanding, or even remembering who you are, this reading is your invitation to return home to yourself, to trust that everything that you've walked through has been shaping you for this next chapter. So let's dive in here and take a look at your current energy. You have the Seven of Swords. This is a powerful energy to be in. And actually, I believe it was Libra who also had the Seven of Swords in this position. Perhaps some of you are connected to a Libra. You may have Libran placements in your chart. But the energy here is of truth. And for many of you, you have been a part of situations where you have been betrayed. Perhaps there were secrets, there were lies, there were dishonesty. I also see that there may have even been a form of denial at times where you weren't able to see the truth of a situation. And I see that there's been a bit of a tug of war within your mind because the realm of the swords has to do with our mind and rebuilding the inner dialogue here, taking a look at mental patterns and choosing to become aware so we can consciously interrupt those patterns. And you are in the midst of moving out of self-criticism, self-judgment, or perhaps criticism or judgment upon others into more of that self-acceptance where you may have been hard on yourself or hard on others, but I see that you are wanting growth. And when you want growth, you go searching here for the truth. So I believe that the Seven of Swords is one of the most powerful energies that you can show up in when you are focusing here on living and leading a more authentic life for yourself. And the relationship that you build with yourself is based on truth, is based on authenticity. So you may be rebuilding your self-worth because for many of you, that area of your life or that wound may have felt very low on energy, right? Low self-worth, maybe even imposter syndrome. Like I'm not good enough, or do I really have what it takes to be in a connection or to fulfill my end of the bargain? Those are old stories. And I see that many of you are starting to recognize these patterns of self-sabotage or these patterns that have repeated itself out. And you are moving into this space of emerging empowerment where you're starting to speak from truth. You're starting to set boundaries and listen to the inner awareness that is bubbling up within. And if you have gone through a period of betrayal, that can really damage, right? It really feels heavy. And this is something that, you have taken a hit. It has taken a hit to your confidence here, but I see that you're starting to rise up. So let's look at the hidden wound. Let's look at the wound here. Oh, okay. So this is a wound that perhaps you've been neglecting or judging that may need a little more love, may need a little more compassion. You have the Six of Cups. This has inner child wounds written all over it, but it's also about emotional suppression or even emotional expression here where perhaps your needs have been silenced in some way, or you have suppressed feeling certain ways, including happiness, including anger, including fears. You may not have known how to deal with your emotions here, but I see that you are becoming aware of any childhood patterns that have played out. You may be looking at relationships that you had viewed as a child. Perhaps the most important one as a child is the relationship we have with our parents or our caregivers. And you may have gone through a period of reparenting yourself, especially if you had an absent parent or there was, abandonment here. or you had a parent that was struggling with their own wounds. And that can stem as perfectionism or body image issues or even codependency or a an independent streak within one that can play out as stories of, I don't need anyone, right? I don't need anyone to help me out. And I see that you have really been working through some of these heavier dynamics that have played out in your life, Sag, or at least that's what you are guided to do here. And I also see for many of you, there has been shame or guilt attached to your energy based on perhaps a trauma or an experience that has played out in your childhood. Now, the Six of Cups as a wound can be buying affection or friendship, being paid off in some way where you may have had a parent that had showed love through purchasing you certain things to show their appreciation or even to apologize at times. You may have had a parent or a partner in your life that you felt like you had to earn love in some capacity. And that was a story that may have played out for you. I have to earn love by being on my best behavior or by showing up in this certain way or wearing a certain type of clothing. And I feel like this is what you are unpacking. And many of you may have carried unhealthy past attachments, whether from childhood or past relationships, that you are now getting honest with yourself and saying, wait a second, am I romanticizing the past, or am I trying to pretend it was something it wasn't? Or are there still some loose ends that I need to tie up? I feel many of you have taken a walk down maybe memory lane. You've done some shadow work or inner child healing, or this is something that you may be addressing at this time. So let's look at some of those old stories. We have Temperance, which is your major arcana. This is about creating a balanced lifestyle that's good for your body. It's good for your mind. It's good for your spirit, right? It is a holistic approach where you may not have had the tools or the knowledge or the understanding of how to really dig into what needs to be dug into when we are in the midst of healing, right? But the old stories may include going to extremes, using that fire as anger to lash out or to suppress emotions through numbing, through avoiding, through using substances, through using external validation, social media, gaming, whatever it is that you have done, or perhaps you've been a part of this cycle. This can also be addictions. You may have witnessed this within your own behaviors or within others that has really created a bit of a domino effect within your own wounds. And I see for many of you, this is about you creating balance here and knowing, for one, that your needs matter and that you don't have to be in a state of feeling like you have to go to extremes, because the Temperance can be like an overprotective energy. All right. There may have been an overprotective vibe where you were feeling micromanaged or overly bossed or controlled by a parent, by a partner, or this could even be something that you had displayed within your own partnerships, including maybe children if you have them. This can be a feeling of temper, where tempers can get out of hand, or you have witnessed someone's temper that was crazy, that was out of control. And I see that this is a story here that, has played out where you may have been more timid or shy, or you may have felt like you had to shy back, like you're not enough. And I see that, for one, your needs matter. And somewhere along the line, those needs were made small, or they were based on lies or illusions or secrets. You may have come from a dynamic where there were a lot of secrets, and that story that you started to tell yourself over and over is, everyone is keeping a secret. Nobody is being honest. And if they're not honest, how can I fully open up 100%? How can I fully trust? So these are stories that you are working on releasing. Now, this is one of my favorite parts of the reading here is your strengths, because our strengths sometimes get overlooked. And we are going to look at the qualities within you that are ready to be celebrated, that are ready to be embraced. You have justice here. So when justice shows up as your strength, for one, this is Libran energy, which has to do with the swords. This is about you working on releasing self-criticism. It is about you, again, rebuilding that inner dialogue and choosing to interrupt those mental patterns by detaching from people, places, things, thoughts that have caused you to feel less than peaceful. And that's where you're detaching here. And you see that she's holding on to this white dove, which represents peace. And you are detaching from energies that feel toxic, that feel imbalanced. But at the same time here, you have revisited areas of your life that have felt frozen or numb, because you see that she's stepping out of this cold era. So it tells me that you are starting to get in touch with yourself again. So you have the gift here of resiliency, but I feel like one of your greatest strengths is your courage, your willingness to grow, to heal, and to reflect, and to step into your true authenticity here. And you are showing yourself compassion and self-love and self-respect by doing so. So when you are able to detach from what other people perhaps think of you, this could be one of the biggest things, is external approval, external validation, right? It goes back to that love must be earned. I see that you are saying to yourself, wait a second, I can live my best life without worrying what everybody else thinks of me. I can live my best life by showing up 100% in my truth and not care, right? Not care about what other people think of that, because what other people think is none of my business. So this is a really powerful energy to be in, and you may still be working and leading into. But I see that your emotional intelligence has become stronger. Why? Because that sensitivity of yours, that fire energy that may have even felt like a burden at times, you're starting to channel into more creative endeavors. You're starting to tune into that inner wisdom, trusting your own intuition. And I feel like you have come a long way, because the willingness to grow by looking at the Seven of Swords, the willingness to heal by addressing the Seven of Swords, and the willingness to reflect on things that are difficult, especially, in our childhood, or feelings of uncomfortability, because our first natural response is we don't want to feel uncomfortable, right? We don't want to go back and visit that, because these are heavy emotions. These are emotions that could sink the ship, and I need to stay afloat. So then we numb ourselves. Then there's a refusal to see. There's a refusal to interrupt the conscious patterns that play out. And I see here that you have dealt with some uncomfortable emotions, but you have trusted that in order to heal them, you have to feel them. So let's look here at ways for you, Sag, to better nurture yourself. And because you have the Seven of Swords here, some of you are really great at pep talks, at motivating yourself. So if you haven't tried mirror work, or if you don't normally look in the mirror each morning and jack yourself up, now is the time to incorporate mirror work into your daily exercise routine, because the Seven of Swords, it's not about false positivity, but it's about self-identity and remembering here who you are, remembering that you are already whole, right? You are safe to be seen. And all of those quote unquote broken pieces of oneself, that's because of the conditioning and the layers. But when you strip those back, guess who you are? You're whole. You're complete. You're a soul having this human experience. That's your truth. So I want you to be your biggest coach, be your biggest cheerleader. Start talking to yourself and rebuilding that inner dialogue. This is about rebuilding confidence here. You have the Eight of Cups, moving on. Yeah, so when you finally address the root of some of these underlying issues, it allows you to move on instead of feeling like you are constantly moving in between worlds, like in between, can I trust this? Is this my intuition? Is this my fear? Instead of feeling like you're oscillating, right? Going back and forth here, you're able to fully move on. And the Eight of Cups is a powerful, powerful energy of cutting ties, walking away. This is personal growth here in order to move forward into something more deeper, more meaningful. This is a new path for you. And because it's connected to the cups, this is about you being able to express yourself without feeling judged or criticized. And many of you may express yourself through journaling, through therapy, or engaging in artistic outlets. I feel like you're also repairing that inner connection with yourself through prayer, through mindfulness, through breath work or grounding rituals here, and showing up for yourself as you would a friend, as I just mentioned here, that mirror work. So self-compassion practices are really going to help you out. This is how you can nurture yourself. And I feel like because the Seven of Swords is here, you are reminding yourself to set boundaries, to say no without guilt, to protect your peace, to protect your integrity, and protect what you have curated here within, because many of you have done a lot of work. I'm talking a lot of work here. And I always say we are all a work in progress, are we not? But you have been really going to extremes at times, which the temperance, and maybe you've gone to extremes within your own healing journey and you have taken time to do all of the work. But we also have to find balance here, even within our own self-healing, where it's time for you at times to rejoin life and to show up in community energies, allowing supportive relationships and friendships and even your pets or animals to nurture that sense of belonging to help you feel more connected, because that's where it's at, right? That's where it's at, is connectivity. And we are not here to live this solo individual experience. Now, it doesn't mean that you can't be single, right? Being single can be fabulous, but it's about you interacting and engaging with groups and people and family and pets where you feel this sense of connection here. Now, your chakra for the month is the heart chakra, Anahata, and this is about love. It's about compassion and forgiveness. Is there someone from your past that has lied to you, deceived you, or betrayed you in some way that you haven't fully forgiven? Have you needed to forgive yourself for perhaps some of the heavier emotions that you didn't know how to deal with, and you may have lashed out, you may have suppressed, it may have built up within your body, creating dis-ease? Forgive yourself for that which you did not know. Because I always say, Sag, when we know better, we can do better. Because this is where love truly blossoms. Forgiving yourself, releasing judgments, and embracing the beauty of who you are with openness and tenderness. Right? There's that compassion piece that was part of your greatest strengths, right? Offering up compassion and kindness for yourself and for others. Even if you have been wronged, even if you have been hurt, that is one of the most courageous acts that we can do. And lastly, a message from your higher self. You have feast, slow down, and celebrate you. It says here, sometimes life gets a little too hectic and the inevitable happens. We forget to take a breather and celebrate what deserves celebration. Make sure you do that from now on. If we never stop to fully recognize the good we have, then the bad stuff can knock us down much harder than it would have otherwise. Slow down and celebrate you. That's what your higher self and your spiritual team want you to do, want you to focus on at this time. Thank you so much for tuning in today, Sag. If this reading was helpful, please give it a thumbs up. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. Send this to your Sagittarius friend if you have one. and spread the love. It not only helps the channel, but it flows into the spiritual algorithm as well. It helps create inner healing and inner peace, which in this world we could use it. And if you are interested in a personal reading or signing up for the monthly newsletter, you can find all of that information in the description box below the video or by visiting intuitivesoulcoach.com.